It's that flow state, like you've got to be open to receiving and seeing the messages. And in my head, the fact that they were there meant this is meant to happen.
Mm-hmm.
There was no stopping it. It was like that flow state of, okay, let's just go, you know? And then there was all these other little signs I remember after that day, you know, when you just start seeing things that you're like, oh, that's a sign, you know? And I started really going, yep, I'm in like flow state. I'm meant to be doing what I'm meant to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how a lot of great things have happened. Like even with this radio show, it just flowed into being born. I didn't go searching for it. It came to me.
Mm-hmm.
It literally, people go, so was this like you've been working towards it? I'm like, it actually was just meant to happen. And it made sense when the opportunity presented. It made so much sense. I'm like, yeah, that's me. This is what I'm supposed to do, because it's got all of the skill sets of what I love to do. I love to talk. I love to present. I love hip hop. I love supporting others. I love facilitating and doing what I'm already doing with Ripe. You know, it just makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's cool.
Wow. I feel like it's amazing. I just love that we get to talk to you now, and in 10 years, you know, you're going to be like a well-known Australian hip-hop like icon that knows all the people, but just by doing the thing that you love.
And it's also your intention, you know, to be pure. Like I'm not out chasing fame, or I'm not out chasing, like, I'm doing this for me.
What is reality really made of? I'm your host Carla, and welcome to Cosmic Batter, the podcast where we explore what it means to be human, with our ability to heal and transform, the power of love, and our connection to the divine. This is for anyone who realizes that there is so much more to our existence. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Cosmic Batter podcast. Today I'm here with Katija. So Katija is a musician, she is a rapper, and she does hip hop. She is a founder of Ripe Hip Hop. She also is about to launch her radio show. She has her own cleaning business. She does a lot of things. So I met Katija at Seven Sisters Festival, which is a spiritual all-women's festival, and we connected. And I wanted to get her on to talk about her journey and her intention with music and all of these wonderful things.
Thank you for having me on. I've been really excited for this for a long time, and it was really beautiful to meet you at the Seven Sisters. I think we did connect really well straight away.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah, at Seven Sisters, so I wrote a poem, which I was like, well, I should do something at this open mic.
Yeah.
And Katija did a rap and just like cleaned the floor. Like, she just absolutely owned it. And I was like, I should just say hi to this woman.
I appreciate you coming over, because that's the sort of connections that you don't expect to make, but you do. And now look.
We've done a lot together.
Yeah.
And I'll add, guys, that we have a couple of dogs outside. So if we decided if there's a little bit of barking in the background, that's fine. If it's obscene, we'll chop those parts out. But please bear with us with the sausage dogs that I have in the backyard.
They're cute, so you can't get mad.
Yeah. Okay, beautiful. So tell us a little bit about maybe what you're working on right now, and then we'll jump into like kind of who you are and how you got here.
Cool, sounds good. So right now at this current point in time, as you said, I'm about to launch the radio show. So that starts in about 4 weeks. It's called Kicking It with Katija on Kiss FM, which is an underground dance music station. So they've been around for about 30 years, primarily focusing on dance music. And they had a hip hop show back in 2016 called Strictly Oz, where they actually did also focus on Australian hip hop. So it's been a little while since that's been around. And it was something that at the time, a lot of people in the hip hop scene and community really needed and resonated with. And I think it was a great opportunity to start getting like Australian hip hop and music on the airwaves. So for the last couple of years, they've been waiting for the right, I guess, mix for another show to come on. And it just so happened that it's a perfect extension of what I'm already doing. So with Ripe Hip Hop, which is the events company that myself, Ronxy and Chuka founded about just over a year and a half ago now. It's been nearly 2 years. And also shout out to Perky. Can't forget Perky. He's really helped us get to where we are today. So with Ripe Hip Hop, our main purpose is to provide a platform for up and coming, unknown like hip hop artists. Not just hip hop. Like I guess we do some singers and some R&B and that as well, but mostly hip hop and rappers. And it's been so heartwarming and so incredible to see like the difference that Ripe Hip Hop has made to the Australian underground hip hop community, bringing people together, seeing everyone now collaborate with each other, and just like everyone showing up for each other and being that like front line of support. And it's just a perfect extension of that, because now not only do they get to perform at these events and practice and get comfortable and get their new songs out, now I get to take that music and play it on the airwaves, which I think is like the next progressive step to get it out to the broader Australian public.
Yeah.
Because there's such a beautiful tight-knit community now supporting each other. But if Australians don't support Australians now, how are we going to like lift that platform altogether and then take it international or where it needs to go and be worldwide? You know, we can't if we don't support each other in our own backyard. So this is a really important part of that, I think, which I'm really excited for. Yeah.
Okay, and why is it important to you to get music out to the world and other people's music? Because you make your own as well.
It's a good question. So I think I've been thinking about this a lot lately. It's so nice to finally have a purpose behind what I'm doing, and that purpose is to help others. It's tricky when you're trying to do something for yourself as an artist, when it becomes a lot about you building your own brand. You know, you have to get yourself out there. It's the only way to become a well-known artist. And I struggled a little bit with that because I've always felt like I wasn't doing enough to reach that next level. And like this clock's ticking, time's running out. You know, I've just turned 30 last year, and you kind of go, well, that typical, if you haven't made it by your 20s and you're still trying at 30, and you're going to be 40, and then where are you at? So I was always struggling with that. Not that I think that should stop you from ever doing what you want to do. It's never too late.
Yeah.
But I felt that I didn't have that drive that I did when I was in my 20s to do that. So I've had to go through a journey of accepting that. And then I had a child as well last year, which was a huge life change, because again, there's that stereotypical, like, you're a mum now. Like, what are you doing going on stage and performing and doing all this? So I had to go through the process of realizing that that's okay. It doesn't mean I need to stop doing what I was doing and what I love. I just need to redirect it and find out how it's now flourishing as a new part of my journey. So Ripe Hip Hop was just kind of born out of, I wouldn't say out of nowhere, but it wasn't like a planned thing the way it came about. And then I've realized over the last nearly 2 years that how it's making me feel, how much it warms my heart, how much I feel like I look around the room and I go, all these people are here together because we helped to bring them together. And when you have people come up to you at the event and say, thank you, you know, because of Ripe, I'm doing this, this and that. Or a year ago, you guys put me on as my first ever show, and now I've had 3 shows in the last month, a year later. Thank you. That's what I'm doing it for. So it's like this realization that I still get to enjoy the passion, the love for the music, for the hip hop, which comes from me as an artist myself. But I get to see how I'm helping others to go that step further that I probably didn't have the opportunity to do, because maybe these things I didn't realize were out there at the time. Mm-hmm. Like they're probably, now there's more and more things popping up. But for young artists, there's not really many places to go. If you ask, where else are you performing in Melbourne? Well, there's a few of the typical places. But, you know, this is a regular monthly thing. You can always jump on the open mic. And now you can go on the radio and have people that typically wouldn't have ever heard your music now have the opportunity to hear it. Mm. So it's like just, yeah, I guess that's what's driving me, is just to see the way that it's being received by everybody else, and that it's something that was needed. And this radio show, since launching that, just the overwhelming support and feedback. In a week, I had over 100 people submit their music. 100 songs submitted from artists, about 40 artists. And the feedback, the comments, like, wow, this is such an exciting next step for Australian hip hop. So I'm like, yes, I'm doing something right. I feel like this has come through me, as things do from the universe, and it's born, and it's just like this continuous add-on of what's already happening just to keep the trajectory going. So yeah, I can't stop it now. It's just
so exciting. That is amazing. So I love how you've positioned yourself like at the forefront of it without trying to do that. And that's how like the best manifestations come through. Like they kind of come to you, not specifically something that you've planned. And what I find so fascinating about this journey is like seeing what happens kind of behind the scenes of anything, like music, the music industry, or like wider society. But now being like, oh, these up and coming artists, it's actually, say, maybe not that hard to get them out there, but someone has to bridge the gap. And for you guys to put those events on, it's like, wow, now we're actually like pioneering hip hop in Australia. And it was never maybe such a big deal, but just something that someone had to do. And it is a big deal now that you're doing it, but like it's just happened naturally because if these artists exist, people want to hear them. It's just bridge the gap. Okay, but now let's go back a little bit into like your personal journey. Like, how did you become a rapper? Why hip hop? Why music? And I know Katija used to dance as well. So people know I used to dance full time. Yeah, share anything that's like important to you.
I think that as far back as I can remember, my first love towards hip hop was back in the like MTV days when I was younger. I don't know how old I would have been at the time, but I still had cassette tapes, so it was around that time. And I saw Justin Timberlake Senorita come on. And I saw him like dancing, kind of like moonwalking. And then I was like, oh, it made me want to move. So I remember going back to my bedroom and like playing the music and just dancing around in my room and just having this expression come through me. So my first love for hip hop was through dance. It was always through dance. I never grew up being like, oh, I want to be a singer or I want to be a rapper. That wasn't initially what I wanted. I just loved dancing. And I think it was just that freedom, that expression, letting the music move through you. And then that grew into me doing dancing I didn't start at a young age like a lot of people do. I started when I was at school, so I probably would have been year 6 or 7 sort of thing, not from like a little girl. And then I eventually decided, as I was finishing school, I was always very smart intellectually with academics as well. Like I always got really, really good grades, and that was part of my father also. He has a degree, a Bachelor of Chemical Engineering. Right. And he moved to Australia from Croatia and was like, all he knew was you had to have a degree to be successful. That's how he's been raised. So I kind of always had in the back of my mind, I've got to go to uni and I've got to do a degree. And as I was coming towards the end of school, I was doing full-time dancing at this point too. So I was actually taking a day off school in year 11 and 12 and going to dance all day. We did musical theatre. We did everything. Ballet, tap, jazz, hip-hop, contemporary musical theatre. So I started getting a broader love for music and the arts. And then I thought, I'll apply to do a double degree in business and arts because I have to go to uni and do a degree. And now my mum, on the flip side, so she was a businesswoman her whole life. She's been a very successful businesswoman. She's always been at the top of whatever job she had. And then she had an online wine company at the time when I was finishing my school. So I also had that as a role model, and when I want to be a businesswoman as well, just because I spent a lot of time around my mum, traveling, being at her workplace as a young girl. And I think that was a natural skills I always had. I was always a natural born like leader, I found through my high school, always in that position to lead others. And that for me in business is like, you have a team, you can lead, you can do that. That's what drew me to that as well. So I was like, I'm going to do this double degree, business and arts, because it's both things that I love. And then I realized Well, my dad actually said to me one day, he's like, that's not really what you want to do, is it? You don't, I was going to go to Macquarie Uni in Sydney, got accepted there. And I was like, no, I just kind of want to go and dance. It was like what was really drawing me. And he said, all right. So he ripped up my uni letter, put it on the bench, which is huge, and was like, fine, you can go to Melbourne, can study performing arts, but you've got to get into a good school because that's important, you know? So I'm like, okay. And anyways, I'll keep it long story short, but basically ended up coming to Melbourne, auditioning for this school that had already closed 6 months ago, their auditions. But I said, I'm coming down to do summer school. Will you accept that as an audition? Yeah. I didn't know if I was going to get in or not until the end of summer school. And then they started like 2 weeks later. So I came down, did the audition. I'm living in Queensland, by the way, at the time, not knowing what's going to happen in a couple of weeks. Come back home, get the call, yep, we've accepted you. So I had 2 weeks to pack up my whole life, fit it in my little car, and drive from Queensland to Melbourne and start this new life. This was at 17. So it was a very amazing experience. It was just kind of like, let's do this. I'm doing this. And it felt like I'm going to chase my dreams. It was that step of like, let's leave all this, not leave it behind, but I've grown from this person that I am here, where I grew up with the people that I'm around, and I want to do more. And I couldn't see people wanting to do that in the group that I was kind of growing up with. So, yeah, I decided, the dog's in the background.
Yeah. It's all good. Yeah, I know. Are you okay with them?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I can just see you're thinking.
Sorry, I can hear you. I can do like a noise reduction background thing. So
there's actually an app where we can filter that out.
Okay,
so
great.
We'll look into that for you. I think it's needed. Yeah.
At one point they're like howling. I'm like, shut up.
It like removes all the background noise. I'll find out what it's called. Yeah. And that was, it's a very special feeling that I think a lot of people unfortunately don't get to experience. Like I recognized early on what was my passion, and for whatever reason that I loved it, it just called to me. I loved it. I wanted to go and do this every day. Like there was no better feeling than knowing I can go every day and I can just dance all day, which I did for 2 years. And then it's interesting because I think I realized through that process that I was really good at hip hop. So when we'd have the class, I'd always be the one picked to redo the routine at the end or whatever. So I knew that I was good at that. But all the other styles and everything, I was still good, but I wasn't at that level that maybe some other ballerinas were at or these other professional dancers. And I saw as we were finishing that, well, what opportunity do you have as a dancer? Cruise ships, musical theatre. I didn't want to do any of that. I don't like being on boats. I get seasick. I don't like being confined. I didn't really have any really drive to want to move to America. Unfortunately, and this is part of the point of what we're doing here, is that you shouldn't have to go to America to make it big. And I'm going to circle back to that, but like we need to treat each other and our performers and our artists the way that Americans treat their fellow performers and artists, and put them on a pedestal and go and support them and go and watch their shows and be their fans. There's nothing wrong with that. We like it. We like to be entertained. We like to have a good show, and that will help them to level up. So yeah, there was really that missing link of like, what do? You have to go away from Australia to follow that dream. I didn't really want to. I love Melbourne. I love it here. And then during that time, so as the course finished, I had a series of events happen with my mum and her business. And basically, we went from here to here. So from having everything, from having financial support, from having freedom to do what I want, to all of a sudden basically losing everything due to her going bankrupt.
Wow. And
I found myself like, okay, well, what now? And then something in me was like, let's get ourselves on our feet. What can we do? And my mum was cleaning at the time, and she'd actually moved to Melbourne, skipping a few little bits, but she'd moved to Melbourne. And her business originally was in Melbourne. So she used to fly from Melbourne to Queensland, Melbourne to Queensland. That's why I loved Melbourne too, because I'd spent a lot of time there as a kid. So now she's living in Melbourne, and I just had this sudden realization of like, okay, it's time to kind of, I don't know, get a bit serious, even though I was only in my 20s, early 20s. But I had to grow up really quick.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to take on this responsibility now of what now. And I saw this opportunity with my mum with the cleaning, and I said, well, why don't we turn like what you're doing into a business? Cleaning's not rocket science, and it will get ourselves on our feet. So then the year after the course finished, that's what we did. Started this cleaning business, and it was just her and I for nearly 2 years. We had nothing. We had no equipment. We were using other people's stuff. We had a car that broke down every single day that I had to literally buy a pack of fuses and change with the tweezers and like to start the car. So it was quite a wild change from traveling Europe first class around the world, living in a penthouse, having a nice car, having all of this to being there. But I'm grateful for the experience because it taught me grit. It taught me hard work. It taught me, I was always mature, but it really made me step into that leader role again. And Mum and I went through this very trialing journey over the next couple of years, built the business up, and then realized, okay, what am I doing this for? Like now that we're okay enough that the bills are being paid, and that was the point of that. But now I'm here. I'm not getting anything from this sense of fulfillment or achievement. I've achieved that point, but like it's not, I don't have a passion or a purpose. I mean, to be honest, who's passionate about cleaning? Let's be real. Like, and
some of those people on TikTok that like go viral, and that's it.
But
yeah, it's just them.
Yeah, there's a few. There's like that really aesthetic, like, you know, oh yeah, that's great. But so sorry, there might be some people out there who are passionate about cleaning.
Yeah,
but that's far and few in between. And I definitely am not passionate about cleaning. I'm also allergic to dust.
Right.
So that didn't help.
Why does that feel like a Virgo thing to say?
Like literally I have the worst allergies and I'm cleaning and I'm just dying every day.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, it wasn't great. So that was like this thing in the back of my head where I'm stressed out all the time. Now I'm stressed about making money. Stressed about the business was growing, and I was, amazing opportunities through that too, where I joined a networking group and I became a leader in that too. I became the president of the chapter, and I learned to speak in front of people. I was still developing my like artist skills, but through business now. And I wore this like badge of like, I'm a businesswoman now, and wear my blazer and put that front on, which was great. But I got to the point where I just didn't have that drive, you know? And then the music, which you sort of asked me, like, how does it keep coming back into your life? I can't help it. It just, there's something and some reason that I'm constantly drawn, or it's drawn to come back to me. And through this time of living in Melbourne, my way of expressing what I was going through was to start writing, and it was writing poetry, and it became rapping. So I think I used to always listen to the hip hop, which went into kind of my favorite rapper, Eminem, such a white person thing to say, but I love Eminem and 50 Cent, Dr. Dre. That was like my sort of West Coast rap was what I loved and I grew up on. So I then just enjoyed learning all of Eminem's songs, and I would learn them all word for word, breath for breath. And any opportunity anyone would let me, or even if they didn't want me to, I would rap.
Yes.
It became like my kind of almost party thing during the time I was in Melbourne. So it'd be like drinking and at a party, and then I'd put the music on and I'd just start rapping to everyone and be like, whether you want to listen to me or not, my name's Feminem. That was, that was that. So then my poetry and my expressing turned into rapping, and I'm working on that through this time, going through everything. And then right before COVID, I'd never stepped foot into a studio. I'd never sort of thought like, oh, hey, I want to be a rapper. I just knew I loved it. And I met someone out at a party. I was rapping and he goes, you should like go into a studio sometime. And I'm like, oh, never really kind of thought about it. no, I'm going to get you into a studio. Let's go into a studio. All right. So then isn't it weird how things work? We had set up 3 appointments to go to a studio and they all fell through because of whatever reason. And then the 4th time, finally, each time was a different studio, by the way. I walked into KB's studio, Cosmic Bounce Records, and sat down and I met him and he starts playing me some songs and he's like, oh, just showing me the kind of music he does. Plays like, I don't know, the 2nd song comes on and I go, do you mind if I like jump in the booth and just do something? I just had this song coming through me. So it was my first ever time stepping into a vocal booth. It was magical. I put the headphones on, had the microphone, he played it, and I freestyled for 6 minutes.
Wow.
From start to finish. And it's actually the first song I put out on Spotify, untouched. Like, I've obviously shortened it down, but I actually freestyled that entire song Lullaby from start to finish. I even managed to like redo the hook and redo the chorus all through that experience.
Wow. Just in the flow state.
Yeah, it was like I was receiving from the universe. Like I closed my eyes and it came through me and these words just come out of you and you're just like, what's... At the end, I walked out of the booth and I was like, what just happened?
Was he like amazing?
Yeah, they were both just like, wow, that was really cool. So I think that's when I went, ooh, this is more than just me now writing. This is like I can see how if I'm in flow state, if I'm connected, something's coming through me. And I really enjoyed the way that it made me feel. And that's what then all of a sudden ignited this rapping path. So then I went, you know, I can incorporate my love of hip hop and dancing with rapping. And I had this dream, okay, I'm going to do my own video clip. So I'm going to dance in my own video clip of me rapping. And that was like the big audacious goal. I'm like, if I can just have a video clip of myself, tick, like done.
Cool.
Yeah.
Fun.
So that was, we went and did that. And then, just kind of, again, music comes and goes, you know, as I have a lot going on in life and you get pulled in one direction, then you can't give your energy to everything. So the business then started going like this again and I had less time for music, but it was always there. And then Ripe Hip Hop was like the perfect fusion of my business skills and my passion for music because but I mean, am I going to go through and tell you the story of just going on a big journey? But so basically I was living in St. Kilda for a couple of years at this point and I became friends with Johnny from the Vineyard. So he owns the Vineyard. He's had it for 25, 30 years. I met him one of the first weeks I moved to St. Kilda and we just got along really well. And I remember the first night we met and we were talking and he goes to me, you remind me of a younger me and I'm going to give you my luck. And he did this little like, and I was like, oh, I like that. So we just had this like beautiful connection. And for a few years from then, we just kept saying, he does a lot of rock music and live music. There was never any hip hop or anything going on there. And we kept saying for a few years, we should do something hip hop. So the seed was planted and it took a while. It took 4 years, I think, of talking about it. And I'm one of those people that I'm like, you've got to take action and you've just got to go ahead and do something and just go, that's it. Because if you don't, it's never going to happen, right? So you can have dreams, you can have aspirations, but if you don't take action towards doing it, it's actually never going to happen. Sorry, but it's not possible. Yeah. So I think it was like, 4 years later of talking about it. And he goes to me, Katija, you've got to come down to watch this show. There's these 2 guys, they're coming on to put a hip hop show at the Vineyard. You've got to come, they're really good. Okay, cool. So I come down with my friends and it was Ronxy and Chook, the other founders of hip hop from Wax One. And they put on this show and I'd never seen anything like it. They filled the whole, even more than I reckon we have it right, like that we had in the first few months. They filled the whole venue with people who were all there to see them, support them and love them. And I was like, that's what I'm missing because I'm not from here. I don't know anyone. I didn't even know that the community of Oz hip hop existed here. And these people looked and loved and respected these 2. And that's something you can't make up, you know? And I kind of went, oh. And I met them and I talked to them on the night and I realized that they both had really beautiful big hearts. Especially I remember talking to Chuka and just being like, I really like you.
Yeah, he's so sweet.
Yeah, and I got that warmth straight away, talking to each other, looking in your eyes and having that present conversation, which you don't have from everyone. And I didn't sense any ego. I didn't sense that. And so I said, I'd like to do something with you guys. That was just kind of came out. I didn't know them from bar soap, never met them before, you know. And then on the Monday after the weekend, I came into the vineyard to ask Johnny for their phone numbers. Because on the night we'd also mentioned, they said, oh, we've been interested in doing our own events, because this was them putting on their first event. So they also went out of their way, contacted a venue, put on their own first show. So they actually did all of that.
Yep.
And on Monday I came in to get their numbers. They lived in like Ballarat and Geelong Way, and out of nowhere, Monday afternoon, 2 p.m, they're just sitting on the table and chairs at the vineyard. I'm like,
oh, so they were there.
They were there. Randomly.
Yeah.
Well, not randomly, it was obviously meant to be. And I go, well, I've literally just walked in here to get your phone numbers, but you're sitting right here. Let's sit down and have a chat. So sat at the table with them and I explained, like, look, I was amazed with what you guys did with the show, and like I've been really interested in maybe putting on some events here. And they both went, yeah, that's what we're actually looking to start doing. We want to get into the event space. All right, well, why don't we do something together? And it was just like born then and there. I think it was maybe 2 days later we came up with the name, and Chuka wrote the logo. You see, he actually sketched it on a notepad. So it was a handwritten ripe thing.
Wow.
And then we just put it, got it digitally made by a graphic designer. And then we were like, that's it. Like ripe is it's just born. And sometimes you can't overthink things too much. You just have to go and keep making the next decision, the next one, because that's what holds a lot of people back, is overthinking it and then not taking action.
Yeah.
So it was just born. And the funny thing at the time, the name, so we'd been watching the Nike movie, and me and my partner Daniel, and we watched the movie, and it said how a four-letter name is really like short and sharp and grabs attention and blah blah blah. So we're like, all right, we want to keep it something short, simple. The vineyard obviously is going to be our home for the next foreseeable future, and grapes grow on a vine at the vineyard, and we were like, ripe is like picking the freshest fruit, so the freshest up and coming talent essentially that is ripe and ready, sort of.
That's
thing.
awesome.
But at the time, that night, which is a hilarious story, I went home and it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, I think I'm pregnant.
Oh.
I won't even explain how I thought, but so I went and I grabbed a pregnancy test that night, and turns out I was pregnant.
Wow.
At the time. So it's quite funny because I didn't realize ripe also means ripe. And it was it's just funny. So like, it's just so many like ties into it. So I basically started ripe hip hop already being pregnant and didn't say anything about it in the beginning, because I was like, let's just get it started. And it's not going to stop me from anything. I was also going through a whole process of I don't even know how I'm feeling about that right now. And then, it just it was amazing to see how much drive and ambition and grit that also taught me to just keep showing up every month. And because I'm pregnant doesn't mean I can't do anything, or I can't still do what I want to do, So it was a huge learning thing, and I feel like it set a really good example for a lot of young ladies that were there as well. I remember them coming up being like, go girl, like I literally had my belly out like Rihanna style. I was still rapping on stage, didn't miss a month, like was there 2 weeks after giving birth because I didn't want to miss a riot. So so it was such an amazing journey, and now it's just continuing to where we are now. So
wow, there's so much there. It's so powerful. And it's amazing, how things happened at the right time, like you said, because I agree, just doing the thing is important. And what I've learned now about stepping into, well, even from my past, like business and stuff, even with my podcast, the very first one, I just was like, you know what? I have some stuff I want to talk about. I might just make a podcast. Like, it's not a big deal. And then now, like, sometimes people ask to come on my podcast. Like, I recently had a big spiritual figure ask to come on my podcast. I'm like, oh, I'm just doing the thing. Yeah, and then with creating Ripe, like you were talking about it for a while, but I get that. I feel sometimes as well, the universe will tell you when it's time. So yeah, just meeting up with the guys and it's just the right time, it just fell into place and you were ready to take action as well.
It's that flow state, like you've got to be open to receiving and seeing the messages. And in my head, the fact that they were there meant this is meant to happen.
Mm-hmm.
There was no stopping it. It was like that flow state of, okay, let's just go, you know? And then there was all these other little signs I remember after that day, you know, when you just start seeing things that you're like, oh, that's a sign, you know, and I started really going, yep, I'm in like flow state. I'm meant to be doing what I'm meant to be doing. And that's how a lot of great things have happened. Like even with this radio show, it just flowed into being born. I didn't go searching for it. It came to me. It literally, people go, so was this like you've been working towards it? I'm like, it actually was just meant to happen, and it made sense when the opportunity presented. It made so much sense. I'm like, yeah, that's me. This is what I'm supposed to do, because it's got all of the skill sets of what I love to do. I love to talk, I love to present, I love hip hop, I love supporting others, I love facilitating and doing what I'm already doing with Ripe. You know, it just makes so much sense. Yeah, it's cool.
Wow, I feel like it's amazing. I just love that we get to talk to you now, and in 10 years, you know, you're going to be like a well-known Australian hip-hop like icon that knows all the people, but just by doing the thing that you love.
And it's also your intention, you know, to be pure. Like I'm not out chasing fame, or I'm not out chasing like I'm doing this for me. But I will say at the same time, I'm enjoying building my own brand, and I do need to still put myself out there. I am still going to be the face and the voice. And that was also a conscious decision with like the name of the show, like Kicking It with Katija, because I also want to build my brand so that I'm able to go and do more with that. Not for myself, because what's filling my cup is what I'm doing for everyone else. And this is just a bonus. Because being an artist and being a performer, being a dancer on stage, I actually love it. I don't get scared and anxious. I enjoy it. And there's nothing wrong with that. You've actually got to lean into that. And this is allowing me to do all of that, which is so cool.
Yeah. It's the soul's expression, and the soul enjoys, you know, feeling beautiful or feeling intelligent or sharing wisdom or sharing the gift and like being the embodiment as well. So you absolutely should have your name on the radio show, because it is your radio show. It is your expression, even though it serves as well.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just go back and mention like how, you know, you were pregnant and still, and you've had your baby now, and you were still doing the work. And obviously like not all moms have to take that approach, but I also just love and admire that, because for me, like now that music has come back, where I feel I truly thought that path was never going to work out in musical theatre, which is different. But I thought that was it. And now that it's back, I'm like, thank God, like I don't want to do anything else. I can't believe I ever kind of let it go. So, like I didn't think there was a road there at all. And it's funny because like I guess it's a bit different, but when I was like going to festivals or also like auditions, I'd be like, I love music, but I don't want to do this specifically. But now that it's back in a different way, and like I don't want anything to get in the way, like age, or if I had children, obviously not that they'd get in the way, but I bring them along for the ride. So it is huge to have someone living and breathing that. Yeah,
I think not with the intention of setting an example, but I hope it does set an example for people, because it's taught me like time management like crazy, because I literally am still a stay-at-home mum most days whilst running my cleaning business, preparing Ripe events, now preparing for a radio show, and I also help my partner in his business. So I'm literally got like 4 major things, plus being a mum. For most people, a mum is their sole full-time job and responsibility, which is fantastic if that's you. And I know so many people who their whole life goal is to be a mother, and that's beautiful. But for me personally, I actually never even saw myself having kids. Me and my best friend used to always joke that I was the fun single party auntie, and that was going to be me forever. But now I'm like, wow, how blessed am I to have such a beautiful family, beautiful partner, beautiful daughter, beautiful dog. And now it's you know what it's given me? This extra layer of when I go to these events, I can hold myself in a different way because people know, okay, she's got a family, and it's an interesting dynamic with the male and female, you know, just in general. Like, you've always got that little element of like maybe guys trying to pick you up or trying to have that little flirtatious thing. And I used to be that way when I was younger, as everyone is. But now that's completely gone because I'm so confident and comfortable in my home life that I'm able to show up as myself in these environments, and it gives me like this extra security blanket to people to be like, oh, I've got a family. They almost like back off a little bit in that sense, and then they treat you like a respected woman. It really changes their dynamic. They're not trying to like, I don't know, flirt with me or, you know, talk to me because of that reason. It's actually because they want to hear what I have to say now. And I know it shouldn't be like that, but it's really made me feel so much more comfortable in my own skin now going out into the world as this mum. So I'm looking at it in the positives instead of me going, oh, I don't want people to know I'm a mum. Like, it's part of life. They're probably all going to end up having kids one day. They just don't know it yet. You know? And then it's a beautiful experience.
Yeah, and I feel people would actually, like men and women and everything in between, like would actually love to see a mum there, because then it's like, oh, I can do that as well. Because I remember when I was younger and going to like revs, and if there was someone, I mean, I wouldn't be against it, but I haven't been in a while. If someone there was like over 30, I remember being like,
oh my god, old person.
But then I had, because then you'd meet some older people that were really cool, and I remember having great enlightening like conversations with them, and then some that were not doing well, and like they were hanging out in those spaces trying to stay young forever sort of thing,
not accepting where they're at in life.
But then as the young person, it's like, oh, those are my two options. Like I could come sometimes when it feels good, and that's great, or I can end up like an older person that's trying to be cool forever. And I think a lot of young people then stop going eventually because they don't want to be perceived as like a drop kick. Which is fair, but like we kind of need to remove the stigma, because people of all ages enjoy music, and it's all about the art and the expression. Like we mentioned earlier, there's that thing of like, oh, I have to make it as an artist before 30 or before 40 or whatever. And then it's like, but art is art, and like sharing lived experience. We need more of that from, all ages.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And it's funny you say that, because I had that experience at 17 when I moved to Melbourne, where the people I was first hanging around were 17 years older than me. And so I was seeing people in their mid-30s to 40s, and I was going, isn't it crazy how diverse? Some people are happy, married, family, doing this, and then you've got the people who are still trying to live like they're 20. And it was quite, it gave me two examples, and I went, which one do I want to end up like that age and empty and depressed and with some major issues, which I could see, and you're trying to constantly mask that and numb that through their behaviors, or someone who's got their shit together a bit more. I mean, we don't always all have our shit together, but, you know, so I did look at those two role models and realize that having a family and whether you do or don't at this age, it's fine as long as you know, are happy fulfilled within yourself, and realize that you don't need to seek that fulfillment through other people in those environments. It's interesting.
Yeah, I want to add, because it's definitely a thing amongst artists, like wanting to make it, but there's a difference between the professional making it and being successful and like getting your music out or getting your art out, and the making it in just being perceived as really cool. And I think people definitely get trapped there. I know, just because I've been in the DJ space, there's so many people who just want to be perceived as a cool DJ in the coolest clubs. And that's great. It's a level of success. But obviously it's reliant on like how other people perceive you, and it's not based on like true expression. So I feel it's a learning step. It's not like a lasting phase. And then I'm seeing another side to the music industry, but you know, any industry, where there's the professional level of success. Like, I'm the artist. If you hire me, this is how I perform. It's open to anyone that resonates. And it's about just expression. And there are people like us and Chuka and stuff like who show up in the professional way. It's about the art. So yeah, as artists, like the long game is that professional side of it, because people age out, and if you're just trying to be perceived as cool as well, the trends change, which is normal. But so you don't want to base your art on just what you think people will like.
What I'm finding interesting with the radio show too, I'm trying to speak to a lot of different artists who are in different parts of their life. So I'm speaking to Ripe Hip Hop's a lot of young generation, and then you've got the older artists who also pioneered and paved the way for Australian hip hop. And I want to ensure that I also do that justice, do my research, look into the history, because it's actually not that readily available, because that was the times before everything was on YouTube and the internet. And the only way to really dive into that is to speak to these people, listen to a few podcasts that are out there, like the 3000 podcast, which is really, I'm finding that very teaching me a lot about these artists and the history. But these are the only ways to find it. And one thing that seems to be popping up a lot is that these underground artists are really wearing it as a badge of honor, that I am an underground artist and I don't want to be discovered, because underground means we're not in the mainstream. And I think we also need to play around with that idea a little bit and not be attached to that, because that's great that you want that, and that's fine. If you don't want to take it professional and you don't want to make a living out of your art because you want to stay unknown forever, that's cool, you do you. But for the greater, success of Australian hip hop to take it to that next level, we have to try and keep pushing it forward. We can't stay like this forever. And you can choose which part of that spectrum you want to sit on. If you want to stay just performing at your local shows and only the few cool people know about you, that is fine and that's cool, and I respect that 100%. But there are artists like me when I was younger that would see myself wanting to do world tours and be on that big stage and go to America and have everyone know who you are, because you're giving your art to more people who are resonating with you. But then these people are never going to be able to get there if we don't change the platform where we currently are, the playing field. So yeah, I get that, but it's something we need to...
Yeah, well, I wonder, the people that say they just want to stay underground, are they just saying that because they're scared that they actually could?
Yeah.
And I think with so much of manifestation or goal setting, whatever, we play it small because we're scared to ask for it's big. Because even when I did the DJ comp last year, like, it's not that big of a deal, but even I was like, oh my God, it matters. And like, I actually get to perform, and this is something that I've always wanted, that I forgot about or tried to forget about. And then it's like, the fact that it could actually come, like, scares the shit out of people. So, a lot of people might say they want to stay underground, but actually they just, they just need encouragement maybe to be like, you actually are good enough.
Yeah.
Because I feel, what I'm learning now as well, is people want to listen. People, they want the music. They want the art. Like, people are looking for it. And the artists, it's like really about opening up to let people in.
We can't just keep performing to our community. It's great. It's fantastic. But like, we need other people to come along and support it. And I think there's a lot of indie artists who are becoming huge in Australia, thanks to platforms like Triple J and that Unearthed back in the day. It has changed a little bit now. And rock music and all these other genres where people are like diehard fans. The room will be filled when this smaller unknown band is there, but there's all these fans coming, not just the community. But I feel like maybe that is happening and I just haven't been to those events yet, but the majority of them I just see like the same people coming, which is incredible. But like, let's now take our little group and expand and get some fans or some people who resonate with the music, who want to appreciate it and listen to it, and they're out there, they just don't know we exist. So how do we get that out there? Well, through ways like this, through the radio, through the events. But that's something I've been, even with Rack, like, especially being a startup, you don't have a big budget for marketing. How do you get it out there? Most of it's word of mouth, organic growth, which is fantastic. So this is now leveling up the platform a bit to go, okay, we've got like 500,000 listeners a week that could be tuning in, or, and expanding that. And then they go, oh, wow. And the other thing with Aussie hip hop, which I really want to say, is it's not this like neat little box of this is Aussie hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
It's so diverse.
Mm-hmm.
And with all the music that I've now started opening up to and listening to, it's not actually a particular style Aussie hip hop. I always thought it was like Hilltop Hoods and Bliss and Erso, because that's who I grew up as my Aussie hip hop sort of icons. There's like Australia as a whole has a lot of international people here, which means we have a lot of international influence, and hip hop, I mean, you know, it comes from overseas as well. Like that's its roots. So we are a form and an expression of hip hop through Aussie hip hop, which is everyone's story. And it's so cool seeing, like, even we have, you know, African artists doing like Amapiano, Oz hip hop mixes here. We've got, you know, all different, we've got really underground. We've got people who are crossing that pop hip hop thing. We've got singers, but it's still hip hop as a whole. It's still hip hop. So there's something for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think we also like need to have that diversity and variety, because a lot of another thing that I'm finding is it's been a lot of heavily male dominated area in Oz hip hop. So there's a lot of these young Aussie hip hop male artists, and it does start to sound a little bit the same. Mm-hmm. But then if you start finding who these other people are, you can color it, and then you can go, all right, this is something that maybe therefore someone might like this particular style a little bit better, or this sound a little bit better. And that's how I want to play the show a little bit too. I want to make sure that there's lots of light and shade and different sounds and different artists from different backgrounds. Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, and the contrast is what makes it interesting and relatable to different people. Yeah. So I've been to 2 Ripe hip hop shows. Mm-hmm. The first one was you were raising money for domestic violence, where I played like the backing tracks, which was great. The second one was Ripe Fest, where I got to play a techno set, but I hung around.
Which you killed it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was great. It's on SoundCloud, guys. But it was amazing to hear the rappers, because I don't usually listen to hip hop. So even when we met at Seven Sisters, I was just like, I just respect your artistry so much. I enjoyed the performance, but I was like, I don't normally listen to hip hop, but you just killed it. Like, I just love the energy. And especially like the domestic violence fundraiser one. It was amazing to hear these women's different stories. Yes.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, and like their words are poetry, and it is meaningful. And even I was like, wow, more people need to hear this, because this is powerful, and it's lived experience, women in Australia. And like I've heard some of the men rap as well at other events, and like it's really quality stuff that's people will relate to. Yeah,
I think rap also has this stigma that it's all about drugs, cash, money, gangs, violence. It's not. Actually, most of the music that I've been sent in and what we listen to and the artists that rap is like expression of one's life, what they've been through, really emotional stuff, healing journeys. Most of it is people's healing journeys, and so many other people I'm certain can relate to that. So I'm excited to showcase that as well, because there is a certain, with Miss Ripe, which was the all-female one, the message on that was to share these women's experience with domestic violence, for people to be aware and to start the conversation. And it was so brave of these women to actually stand up there and perform these songs, like one artist in particular talking about practically being raped, you know, and how it made her feel. And you just like, whew, and it's quite full on to be in that situation and presented with someone's talking about their experience. But we need to open up the conversation, and then we need to go, how do I feel about that? Not okay. Okay, so if I see that behavior, and within our hip hop community, we all know that this kind of behavior is not okay. So through that, we can actually make a change. It's really powerful. We can choose what message we want to get out there, and it can be quite a powerful one to, like, if we see misogynistic men, or you hear those rap songs where they're talking, degrading women and talking like, oh, you bitch, you this, you that. Like, I don't really want to hear men talking about women like that, because I don't want my daughter to be spoken about like that, and I surely don't want to be spoken about like that. So that's also part of this journey, is to like, I know hip hop's hip hop as well. I'm never going to play, you know, of course.
Not going to clean it up.
Don't worry, everyone, I'm still going to play.
Because it's expression.
Yeah, it's expression. You're right. So I'm not going to be biased, and I'm also not going to just play things that I like. It's for everyone. I understand that. However, if the lyrics are pretty gross, to be honest, it's not something I'm going to want to put on the radio because I don't think that people should be hearing that or spoken about in that way. Yeah.
Well, you're going to play stuff that feels like quality, I guess. Yeah. Beautiful. So that's like your intentions, with the radio and like helping people, and why we need this is so much to that.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit more about your own music and what do you want to, do with that next?
Yeah. I find with my own music, it's again, because it's self-expression, I'm going through a bit of a battle with that in myself, because I think in my own self that I haven't dedicated enough time to refining my art and my sound. And what I'm finding with other artists that I'm now listening to, can really hear when someone's nailed their style, their sound, and it may be for this particular album or this particular release, or just the way that their vocals have that intention. I think I'm still finding that. And I have a lot of songs that I've started. There's a lot. But like most artists, there's a lot that I haven't released. So what I decided with my current project, I said I'm going to do an album, because I don't want to I'm not at the stage where I'm ready to just keep pumping out singles, which is incredible that a lot of artists can do that. I want to work on a body of works, and I want to take my time with it, because my time is now very different. To get me and alone time to work on my art is a lot trickier than how it was before. So I've decided to do an album of collaborations, because I kind of thought, you know what, if I'm getting that bit of writer's block, or that being stuck about what I want to express from myself, because maybe I'm still too afraid to fully open up yet, having other artists there with me on these tracks, I wanted to see what kind of magic and what I could learn from others. So this project's been a lot of fun. It's like, I've got about 7 tracks ready. I want to still do a couple more, and I have at least 10. Working with a whole range of artists, and most of them are all from through rap hip hop, which is the other really cool part. So if it wasn't for rap, I would never know these people. I would never have the opportunity to work with these amazing artists and create these bodies of works and capture these moments in time. I'm finding that the underlying message in a lot of my music, which I didn't realize I had one, is about, you would have heard this at Seven Sisters. So when I was putting my set together, I thought, okay, I've got to pick songs that are going to resonate with these women, about sisterhood, about manifestation, about following your passion, about, all those messages of what we were there for.
Yeah.
And then I went, hang on, all my music is that, literally.
It's already done.
It didn't occur to me, because as I started reading my lyrics and listening, I go, oh, they're all about you can do whatever you want to do and be a strong woman. And one of my songs, Warrior Woman, is literally about, that was after I gave birth.
Yeah.
And it was I felt like a warrior woman, and there was this message I could send to women, you're a fucking warrior, you can do anything. So that seems to already somehow be the message of my music, which must be coming through my thoughts. And I just think I need to, again, lean into that a little bit and be okay to open up about it. I used to think that rap music, I had to make up this story and be someone that I'm not, and make this song because it's what everybody else wants to hear, because that's going to sound good on the radio. So I struggled a lot with that, because I had that American influence, and I'm like, if it's not going to make you dance and make you, people won't listen. It's actually the opposite. I think people appreciate more when you're being raw and authentic and real, and it doesn't matter if it's upbeat, slow. So this project has a whole range of stuff. It doesn't have one particular, flow to it, in the sense where I'm trying to have this refined sound. I think I would work towards a body of work like that when I'm getting a bit more comfortable with my sound. This one's all about exploring. Yeah. Exploring different ways I can sound, different energies I can have, different stories that I can tell with someone. Yeah. It'll be fun.
That's amazing. And that might be your sound, in that it does have contrast. Or I always think the artist's journey is beautiful, and people want to come with you on that journey of artistic development. So if it does change in the future, or you nail down on one aspect, it will be cool to see the growth anyway.
And that's the biggest thing I see with artists, is if you don't release your music pretty much straight away at the time where you've created this piece, you look back on it even 2 months later, 6 months later, and you go, oh, that's not me anymore. I've grown from that person. So you don't release it because you don't want to perform it and you can't, embody that person. But I think it's so important that you do get it out there because that is your journey as an artist. Like you're saying, that is showing like your progression of all the things you've been through and how you've gotten to where you are today and the lessons that you're learning and the emotions that you're feeling. And it's okay to get that out there. That's a big thing for artists to do, is to like literally put themselves out there. It's huge.
Well, I can just add with that, because I've just learned how to produce music. I learned last year the basics, everyone. And I've been wanting to sit down and do it, but because I'm DJing as well, I've been more called to like, I just want to get in touch with my music. What do I actually play? What actually is my sound? And I have written down poetry as well, or like lyrics have come through, or I've voice recorded some tunes.
Your poetry was great, by the way. Thank you. I really resonated with that too.
I appreciate when my healing journey has created space where the words now, they'll just come through. So I'm glad I don't try and write a song like they just, obviously that will come, but I'm just glad that I'm open to that because of my journey. But actually sitting down to like create a melody or create a beat and then like create, that is really daunting.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel really vulnerable. Yeah. And so many times I've been like, or I could just keep getting in touch with all this other people's music that I have. And I'm like, that's actually okay. I don't want to rush my art, but I do feel that energetic sort of pressure. It's like, okay, I can get familiar with my music for some time, but at some point you'll have to just create something.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
any advice?
Even now, like I look at my first ever song, or people go, oh, can I listen to some of your music? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's out there. And it's like stuff from 3-4 years ago, and it is not me anymore. And I feel like I've come a long way from there, but you just have to start and you just have to take action and just like send it. Just boom, press the button, upload it, just do it. Don't overthink it. Even now with the radio and that, like I'm sort of trying to work on putting together some content, and I'm looking at filming just myself talking and stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, like you just overanalyze, and I'm like, nah, I can't do it. I can't, but I've just got to do it. Keep telling myself, like, just got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take that on board.
I think, just like once you bite the bullet and you take that first step, it's going to get easier and easier every time. Easier and easier. Like even now in this album, I could be a perfectionist and I could go back multiple times to the studio to try and make this perfect, but there is no such thing as perfect. And then it actually ends up ruining the song because you've taken it from capturing a moment into like this overanalyzed thing, and then you're trying to redo stuff, and sometimes the mistakes are the part that makes it amazing. So when I do something weird vocally and then I go, ooh, but actually once you sit with it and you go, you know what, that makes it cool, it makes it unique, it makes it different, it's not actually a mistake. It's meant to be. So that's just what you have to accept, like instead of, because you've got the Virgo rising as well, and it's kind of like that perfectionism and that OCD-ness. If it's not like exactly how we envision it to be, you can't get it out. So just let go of that.
I feel with music, because I'm like, where do I even start? Even though I have bits and pieces like I mentioned, but you're right, because there is no perfection. It's like, if I paint painting, how do I know if it's the right thing? But I will start eventually.
And look at like famous painters, and some of it's just colors and lines on a canvas, but to somebody else they get an emotion or a feeling, or so you're just going to think about like, it's your expression and it's uniquely you, and it doesn't need to serve anyone else. You don't have to do it with the intention. That's what I struggled with. I was like, when people listen to this, what message are they thinking? They probably won't even understand the message that I was thinking. They're going to get their own message. So you've just got to let that be.
I love that. I think even when I do intuitive readings, I'll just say stuff, obviously, that's coming through. And sometimes I'm like, what the fuck am I even saying? Like, but because I don't quite maybe understand why the words are coming through. But then it's like, it's actually about their interpretation. Or like, maybe if I talk about a pond that has like a life-changing moment for them, that it reminds them of a memory. Like, there's nothing, and it's all about, you just capture the moment, like you said, and then leave it for people to experience their own way. Thank you for that. Beautiful. I mean, is there anything else you want to share from your own journey or your intentions like coming up?
I think that I just want to share that we can go further together. We need to stick together. We need to support each other. And I think a lot of it naturally people filter out when that's not their intention anyways. But sometimes I also, like, to be honest, I get that imposter syndrome, you know, where you're like, why am I the one here doing that? And am I good enough to be in this position or have this privilege or this honor, which I really do feel it is to be at this point. But you just have to, like, let that go and go, you know what? Like, I'm just blessed that everyone's coming on this journey with me, and I hope that everyone can be supportive and understanding that I'm also going through my experience and my journey, and I'm going to learn and grow with everyone. And that's how I would love it to be. Like, we're all on this journey of life together, and our experiences are through each other are going to help color and shape Australian hip hop and music. So yeah, I just want to see a lot more of this community and supporting each other and not thinking of each other as competition, because everyone is uniquely them and everyone's journey is uniquely theirs. And we all need to, like, just get that out of our heads, that it's like, if that person's up on that stage and it's not me, no. This is for the collective. This is for all of us to get up there together, you know? So yeah, that's just like the message that I'm really hoping to get across, and a message of positivity and a message of, like, just being aware of what you're putting out there into the world. Yeah. And, you know, yeah, it's just exciting. It's exciting times, like, to see where this is going to go. Yeah, the world wants to hear what each person has to share. Yeah. Amazing. Can you please tell us where we can find you, how hip-hop artists can work with you, like rap hip-hop, give us all the things. So there's a few different platforms. So for artists, like, we really encourage, if you're a rapper, hip-hop artist, even an R&B singer, anything like that, to follow Ripe Hip Hop on Instagram. Is the main platform that we're sort of using at the moment. So jump on there, and there's all of the regular events that are up and coming. So even if you're a fan of music, Oz hip hop, we need you to come along and be a part of the journey to support all of these amazing people. So events are posted regularly up on there, and there's always usually an open mic at the start of most events, which is where the community really gets the grassroots and the support and the following. So we try to get as many people as we can and encourage them to come along to open mic. And some people, it's their first ever time getting up on a stage, and it's the most beautiful, empowering thing to see, because the environment is so supportive. So I highly encourage that. Like, if you've been just, like, on the fence, I've never performed before, where do I start? Like you said, where do I start? This is where you start. Come to Ripe Hip Hop, and you just get up there, and we're all going to cheer you on. So that's that. With the radio show, Kicking It with Katija on Kiss. So that's Kickin' IN with Katija on Kiss. On there, we've got a link tree where you can actually submit all of your tracks. So I'm encouraging any artist to submit obviously in the Oz hip hop genre that I've just clarified before, to submit your tracks. And even some international artists, like, I'm not fully boxing it. So if there's international artists who are trying to break into the Australian community, we had one artist that came over recently who's doing a collab album with Aussie artists. So of course I would love to play that on the radio too. It's not going to be like, I'm only playing fully Australian music, anything that's in and around that. So submit your tracks on there, and then the show's ongoing. It's weekly, so even if it's not played right away, it might be played down the track, which is really exciting. So that's where you'll find me again on Instagram on there. And then I just encourage everyone to come and say hello, or reach out and message on socials. Have a chat to me. I don't bite. I'd love to get to know you. And I'd also love anyone to reach out who may have some background knowledge and help me to learn to become a better, person in the position that I'm in. So I'd love to learn from you guys. I love to sit down and have a coffee or have a phone conversation and maybe be taught some things about the Australian hip hop scene that I may not know. I'm really trying to attract that so I can become better versed on it all. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you have an ideal date in mind for your own album coming out, and where can we find that?
I have said that I want to get it out this year because so I know it'll be towards the end of the year. Because time's already like crazy, but I'm going to make sure that it is out this year, and it will be out on all platforms. So it'll come out on, you know, all of your basically online streaming platforms. And then I think next year I'll look at doing some sort of more video content and maybe even some video clips and stuff like that for some of the tracks if I can pull all that together. I'd love to do that again. That was an amazing experience. So on Spotify, I'm just Katija on there, so you can have a look. I've also got that video clip that I talked about out, which I'm really proud of. Come a long way since then, but it's pretty cool to watch. Yeah. Did all my own choreography, designed all the landscape of it all, and that was pretty cool. So yeah.
Amazing.
Check that out.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's amazing to hear your journey. And I love, everybody knows, like, I'm so spiritual, but to connect with people living like a different aspect of life, and even in the hip hop community, I just love to hear your intention, your purpose, why you're doing it, how important music is. And it's just that thing again, like, it's all spiritual. Yeah. Everywhere you go, everything that everybody does is just our existence. Yeah. It's beautiful what you're doing.
And thank you for doing what you're doing and facilitating these kinds of conversations, and for people to, it's great for even a journey for myself to think about the things that you're asking me, because it's going to help me to be better as I go. So thank you.
Beautiful. All right. All the links will be down below, and we'll talk again soon. Bye. Bye. Hello, beautiful people. Thank you for joining Katija and I for today's episode. And here is one of the culprits who is barking through the whole episode. So hopefully we can remove that from the audio. I just wanted to jump in and remind you that you can book sessions with me as usual if my work resonates with you. I offer healing sessions and intuitive readings at the moment. Healing sessions, we can go deep doing emotional work, clearing and releasing trauma, releasing stuck energy from the body. Healing sessions can also be used to, get what you want in life, to step into who you are becoming, into your most authentic expression, to get clarity on where you want to go and how you want to show up for yourself. I also help a lot of businesses with organic marketing, again, stepping into their authenticity, what makes them unique, in elevating their offers, how to reach people. I've also worked with a lot of artists, so my healing sessions are great for musicians and artists and, painters and everything in between. My intuitive readings, I tap into your energy and channel any messages that are coming through. I'll also use tarot and oracle cards to really go deep with messages. Intuitive readings are great if you want to get more information and insight, and they give you the power to then change your path or to elevate what is possible for you. So as usual, if you want to book a session, just click the links down below, or you can send me a message on Instagram. I would love to hear from you. So yeah, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.